Welcome to Big Basket Now presents the RCB podcast. India is well on its path to become a true sporting nation, and if one entity has to be credited for the maximum impact in this journey, it would be the state of Odisha. The contribution of Odisha to India's sporting prowess is a case study in itself to be told and studied for generations. If there is one man who should be credited with spearheading that revolution in the state, that would be my guest today, Dr. R. Vineel Krishna, a decorated IAS officer who's the Secretary, Sports and Youth Services with Odisha government. Thank you so very much for spending time and being part of the RCB podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Talk to us about Odisha. Odisha stands as India's sports capital today. How and where did it all begin?
So, our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik, he has a special interest in promoting sports.
Right.
He believes that sports is very important for the youth of our state. Because sports is not just about how many medals we get or what we do at the national and international level. It is about building a personality. Sports teaches so many things that youth need to get into sports. And therefore, we have to create that platforms, whether it's in terms of the infrastructure or the competitions, or inspiring them through major international championships being organized in Odisha, or bringing the high performance centers. And all this is not just happening at the Bhubaneswar level, but also at the different parts of the state and taking it to the grassroots as well. So therefore, with this vision, the journey started somewhere in the mid of the last decade. It started slowly with the hockey. The Hockey India League was, we were part of it, and that was the first time when a state government had its own team in a professional sports league. Then in 2017 was a major milestone for us in our sports history. Asian Athletics Championship was organized in Bhubaneswar. It was supposed to be organized in Ranchi, but they backed out due to some reason at that time. And the Athletic Federation requested us, and we had to conduct it within a period of 90 days. We were not having a proper stadium at that point of time, no proper tracks, or the infrastructure was not up to the mark. We never conducted something of that scale international event ever in Bhubaneswar. So in spite of all the challenges, we did it. And for the first time, we saw that for a sport like athletics, which normally doesn't attract the crowds, there were like thousands of people who wanted to get into the stadium and watch the India perform the athletics. And that was a time when we realized that there is a lot of aspiration towards the sports in the society, and we need to do something for that in a bigger scale. That's how the journey started, and hockey is something that is quite popular in Odisha.
Right.
Honorable Chief Minister himself used to be a hockey player in his school days, and he believed that hockey is something that gave the identity to India even before India was recognized as a country. Much before the independence, we had got the Olympic medals, and continuously we dominated for at least 40-50 years in hockey.
Right.
And India's identity at the international level came from hockey. And the occasions where Indian flag was raised on foreign soil was because of hockey.
Yes, we will talk about hockey in detail as well.
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
Would you share the sports development model that the state took? Was it invest in infrastructure as much as possible and the rest shall follow? Or were there particular efforts made to get everyone to start playing?
The belief of the state government is that sports is something where it has to be a partnership model. So if I have to talk about a model of Odisha sports, it's a model of partnerships. Everybody wants to do something about sports, whether it's the government, the federations, the corporates. Everybody wants to be in sport, but we have to identify the right kind of a platform or a model through which all of them will be involved. So we have been trying. Our way of doing it is flexible in terms of different sports. On a broad level, government is the only stakeholder which can invest in a massive amounts, which no other stakeholder will be in a position to do it. So therefore, infrastructure, which requires a huge investment, comes from the government. Again, if you have to conduct the competitions again involves a lot of funds to be placed. That again is something that because in India, except for cricket, the other sports are not commercially viable, and therefore the governments have to get into organizing the events, not only the international but also the national and state level, if you have to really do it with some benchmarking. So these are what the government takes care in the model that we follow, while the corporates, they have the flexibility, which normally is not there in the government sector. So therefore the corporates bring in the coaching program so that you can put in the best of the coaches from anywhere in the world, and then you can customize the programs also according to the requirement of different athletes. So therefore the soft component, the hard component of infrastructure and competitions come from the government. The soft component of the coaching, their nutrition, their sports science, their sports psychologists, the rehab, recovery, all those things we do it through the corporates. And in this, the federations are also very integral part. With federations like hockey, we have the model of sponsoring the teams because the hockey is not commercially viable. They need support. And they need support at some scale so that they also start investing and expanding the scope of hockey across the country. So therefore, with the federations, we are also in a sponsorship model whereby we give them the funding and they give us the advertising space on their jerseys like any other private company gets it. So these are the different models that we do it. But at the very, very broad level, in the state level and the grassroots level, the idea is that maximum number of kids should start playing. So whatever we are doing is aimed towards that principle.
We do see that there is a huge tribal population in Odisha. Is there an attempt to get more tribals involved with sport, considering their athletic prowess? How do you go about
Absolutely. In fact, the fact is that we have sports hostels across the state, and most of them, what we have in our system, are from the tribal communities, and they definitely have that stamina and various athletic parameters, and therefore most of our kids who get the medals or who are there in our system who are doing well are all from the tribals, and we take care of them fully at the government cost.
Odisha has had a lifeline with hockey. Talk to us about how the blueprint for hockey came about.
So I think it was around late 2017 is when the Hockey India came to the Honorable Chief Minister and requested for some financial support for a few months. That was the time when Sahara used to be the main sponsor for the hockey teams, and they were going through some financial crisis, and therefore they backed out, and Hockey India was searching for some breathing space to just get over a few months so that they can find a new sponsor. So that was the time when they came, they met Honorable Chief Minister. Chief Minister himself being a hockey player, and he recollected from his legendary father, late Biju Patnaik, that when he used to be in the Quit India movement, they went to the jail. I think he was in the jail in Peshawar. So at that time, they used to, the only source of their interaction with the outside world was through radio. And they all used to get a lot of motivation listening to the Indian hockey team performing well. The commentary and all that of the hockey team doing well outside the country. So that hockey was in the part of the nationalism of the Indian country, Indian history. So therefore, the Chief Minister said that why should a game like hockey, which has given India such a big identity at the international level, they should be running from pillar to post for pillar to pillar to for the funding. Why can't we do it? So that's how it started, and the government took a decision that we should support hockey. Initially, it was for 5 years. They did extremely well at the last Olympics, including the women team. The men, of course, got the bronze medal. That's when, as a further motivation and giving stability to the federation and the hockey development, Chief Minister took the decision that we will continue it for the next 10 years. So till 2033, we are going to be the sponsors for the Indian hockey teams.
That's fantastic.
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
If other states were to replicate this model, where do you think they should begin from?
I think all states want to do something for sports, and they are doing in their own way. You say the socio-political, economic context is different for every state.
Every state.
And therefore, I'm sure that every state will be able to find their own right model to promote sports, which every state is trying to do that. And I think there is increasingly a lot of demand from the citizens also that there should be more investment in sports. After all, how long we'll be disappointed with every Olympics? All of us want something to be done for the sport. So therefore, when the citizens, the society demands, I'm sure all the governments will also be responding.
Right. What is the scope for public-private partnership for it to scale, and how far can you take it?
So unfortunately in India, except for cricket, the other sports are not commercially viable. There is at a society level also, we don't have that sports culture. We are willing to spend money on so many things which actually not required for us, but still we end up doing that. But when it comes to spending on sports, there is a hesitation. Sending a kid to a sports class or sending him to a competition, there is still that kind of orientation is not there in most of the places in the country. So I think as a society, we need to, but of course there is a lot of consciousness towards health and fitness, especially after the COVID, we have been seeing that. So I believe now there is right kind of a environmental is being created. So probably with good infrastructure coming out from the government side and also maybe from the private sector, to some extent, I think in the coming years, some of the sports might be commercially viable, and then probably there will be more people coming into the sport. One good example is badminton. Badminton is something that has happened over the last 10-15 years. Currently, you will see so many kids are actually wanting to get into badminton. So there is a lot of, we get a lot of medals also that creates a lot of icons. So I think it's happening. It's happening in some of the sports, and slowly, I think in the coming years, coming decade will be really very interesting. That probably some of the leagues will also start becoming more commercially viable, and the money gets into the sport in the right manner.
Dr. Vineel, is sports tourism a thing? And if so, how can India go ahead in making it a reality? And is Odisha any close to making it happen?
So we, in a way, try to blend the sports and tourism. So if you observe most of our big tournaments, we do it during the winter months because that is also our peak tourism period for the state because of the weather conditions. So we have been trying, but it's still a long way to go because, again, people don't really just go to a venue only for sports. They go for multiple other things. So we are also trying to see how we can have a package kind of a thing where people come for the, let's say during the winter, it's really nice in Bhubaneswar and in and around. We have a lot of spiritual places like Puri. There is heritage, the Konark temple. We have the very good quality beaches. We have eco retreats, we have eco tourism, and during the period we also try to do the competitions, both national and international, so that people who come, they come actually with the families, the players, and their family also accompanies them. Then they have a whole experience of visiting the state. So I won't say it's a big impact as of now, but I think we have made a start.
You've had an excellent stint, and of course, you continue to strive when it comes to sports development in Odisha. Talking about your personal life, you've of course had a roller coaster of a ride that has involved an incident where you were kidnapped as well. What was that all about? Would you like to share it with us?
So I was I was the district magistrate of a district called Malkangiri, and it used to be, this was around in 2010-11. It was a period when Maoist problem was at its peak. So this entire, it comes in the Dandakaranya region, bordering the Telangana and Chhattisgarh. So that was a period when Maoists were quite strong in many of the areas. But as a district magistrate, it's my responsibility to reach out to the citizens and provide them the best of the services, whatever is possible given the context. So I used to travel a lot across the district in spite of there being a security risk. But the point being that unless the head of the district moves, then otherwise the whole machinery won't move, and more areas will go into the Maoist problem. A gun culture which will again take a huge number of human sacrifices to bring back those lands. So with that intention, and we had good security cover also at that time. BSF has just been inducted there. We used to have a lot of these outreach programs. So in one of the outreach program, this incident happened. We used to go into the very stronghold areas of the Maoists, and probably they might have thought that it is not good for their own hold on those areas. But fortunately, the tribals, it's entirely tribal areas, they came out in large support. They took out rallies and they protested. So finally, the Maoists also had to relent, and they released. But now I'm very glad to say that that particular region is now almost free of this problem, and it is on a very strong path of development thanks to the vision of our Honorable Chief Minister, who believes that insurgencies have to be tackled mainly through development, and of course security will be there, but development is the problem which has created the problem of insurgency, like left-wing extremism, and that has to be tackled through large-scale development activities, and which is actually happening there, and people are quite happy about it.
Kudos to you.
बस यही बोलना है, यही तुम्हारा ऐड?
Yeah, that's it.
सही है यार. Now delivering in 10 minutes.
We spoke so much about sports development that has happened in the city, in the state of Odisha. If you were to state one example or an incident that really made you feel, yes, this is what we were aiming for when it comes to sports development in the state of Odisha, what would that be? Was it Odisha hosting the World Cup for hockey? What was the narrative that made you feel, yes, this is what we were aiming for?
While there will be many instances like Hockey World Cup is of course something that the entire state got connected, and they were very happy about it. But something which really brings us satisfaction is there is this one tribal boy, Bapi Hansra. So for in the month of March, he was the number one in the world in 400-meter hurdles. So somebody coming from, and he doesn't have a father.
Mm-hmm.
His brother is like a daily wage employee. He used to be with his brother. His mother stays somewhere else. She also is in a very poor state. So in spite of such background, the kind of determination with which these boys, in spite of all the hurdles, they come to this level with a little bit help from us, and achieving at a world level He was ranked number one at the time in 400-meter hurdles in terms of his timing. Comparing him with, let's say, an European kid or an American kid who are really good in athletics, he achieving that kind of a level is something that is probably he wouldn't have imagined. We have never imagined that in athletics we can do something like that. He's got qualified for the World Junior Championships as well.
Wow.
And he's such a nice, humble boy. You wouldn't feel that he's somebody who's achieved something at that scale, that level. So this is what the sport is about. This is what we are doing. And our Chief Minister is a very kind-hearted person, so he awarded 25 lakhs to the kid. And you can see the happiness in his face that he's got the money now and he can take care of his family. So I think these are the kind of stories which actually motivates us further, that we have no dearth of talent. With some creation of a right ecosystem and processes, probably we should be able to do very well in the kind of sports disciplines and events which normally we don't think that we can.
Right. So many humble stories and plenty more stories to be narrated and told, I'm sure, and talents to be identified.
Absolutely.
In a country so
Yes.
vast. So many Olympians could be the next future, and that's exactly what we are going for. Talk to us about your interaction here at the Leaders India Meet, RCB Innovation Lab. What's been your time like? And what are some of the biggest takeaways?
I think I'm really glad that I could make it to this event. It was a little bit of uncertainty till the last minute. I'm really glad to be here. And the venue has also been rightly selected, being the Dravid Padakone, this sports complex, Center of Excellence. I had just had a visit of the entire campus, and this is something that is wonderfully created here. And these kind of facilities and programs is what create inspiration for all of us, including the sports administrators. And I would really like to thank and grateful for RCB for creating an event like that, and all the partners who are all organized this. And these are the kind of conversations that we require in sports. And I'm sure this kind of interactions will continue. And I was just saying that we'll be very happy to host it in your next season, whenever you do your next such meetings in Kalinga Stadium, which I'm sure will also be something we'll be really proud to showcase.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being part of the RCB podcast, Dr. Vineel.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Big Basket Now presents the RCB podcast.